10 o'clock, we'll call this meeting of the Jefferson County Water Authority to order. Could we have a roll call, please?
Terry Thomas,
Present.
Matt Unrein,
Here.
Greg Camp,
Here.
Kevin Dennis,
Here.
Jim Caston, Mark Johnson.
All right. Pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. We have item 4 on the agenda, the minutes from the regular board meeting of 8/19. Also the closed minutes from 8/19. I would take a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Like one of those a second.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we'll move on. Item 5 is approval of bills. Hopefully you did get the addendum Michelle sent out earlier in the week. The total amount is $536,737.83. That does include a payment to Burns and McDonnell for work done to date.
I make a motion. Second.
Motion and second. Can we have a roll call, please?
Terry Thomas,
Yes.
Matt Unrein,
Yes.
Greg Camp,
Aye.
Kevin Dennis,
Yes.
Jim Caston,
Yes, ma'am.
Mark Johnson.
Okay. Next up is the preliminary design report under old business. This is information from Burns and McDonnell. I know Jamie and I were talking a little bit before the meeting, and Jamie, you've had a chance to review the report. Couple tweaks.
Yes, I've went through the report and just made a few nitpicky tweaks as far as just some indicator lighting. I made a couple questions to Dana this morning in regards to some of it about like our fiber optics and stuff that are down there. Hopefully I can do a reduction in cost for our fiber optics, considering the inside of it is they're proposing a multi-mode, which is higher, harder to work on, and go into a single mode, considering everything else we have is single mode. So in my head, it's kind of pointless to go to that extreme one. It's going to turn right around and connect to single mode and hop onto that anyway. I also made a few tweaks. Something else only me and Greg have gotten thus far was the actual preliminary actual construction design. I've already made a couple tweaks and concerns with Dana this morning already on that. But as far as that, does anyone have any questions or comments or additions? Is anything on this design report that they'd like to see?
I know we do have a meeting probably for early October set up where we'll visit with Dana and the Burns and Mac team. I think they're still waiting on a little data from Lane, which would be Luca. Once that's done, we'll have a sit down. They have 60% design plans for us to look at. So myself, Jamie, Jim, anybody that wants to sit in, more than welcome to. We'll set up a date and a time, and we'll share that with the rest of the authority, and
Right.
We'll have a chance to sit down and ask any questions.
Oh, there was something else in regards to, remember when we were talking about security as far as that design?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we already figured out we had to change the design because of how the stairway goes up and everything else. As soon as you got to the upper platform,
Right.
of course, you have doors that secure the actual electrical room and the actual pump house itself, but there was no security provided for the transformer and the generator up there.
Yeah.
So I already expressed my concerns with that to Dana this morning. And luckily here with it right about this time, they're having a meeting already on all that. So I hit it just in time. But it was one of those as far as security and stuff like that to make sure, you know, that big piece of equipment isn't harmed.
Okay. Good.
It was only about 8 pages long. I just kind of briefly looked over it, didn't read the whole.
I sit at home and read that.
Does anyone have any other questions related to the preliminary design report then?
No.
No? Okay. Jim, Kevin, you guys good?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Next on the agenda is the electrical audit report, which was nice to see. I know they do make some recommendations in here. I don't know if it's worth, probably the easiest and best thing to do is to jump ahead and take a look at the recommendations that they're making here, which have, no big surprise, install lightning protection system.
Mhm. Right.
But Jamie, your thoughts after reviewing the report and the recommendations, are there some things that we can do immediately, or are we going to need to?
Well, actually, one of the things is, as far as listed in capital improvement for the year anyway, I already planned on replacing the main UPS.
Mhm.
So that's already in there for capital improvement. Now, probably what I can do is different things throughout the year. We'll see where we're at throughout the budget, because really I'll have money left over in maintenance and repair. I can probably whittle away at this a little at a time, just seeing where we are. That way it's not some major hit at one period of time. We'll just see where we are throughout the years and just try and get it protected. Now, also, the great thing about it is in the new preliminary design report for the new horizontal collector, we'll have all of that protection.
Okay.
Luckily, but as far as the few listed things in here, yeah, it looks like I can whittle away at it. And if we go ahead and just kind of go through that, we'll see what we can do. It's also another thing with the board, depending on whether you want to spend all the money now, or you want to whittle away at it, or you want to wait till next year. I mean, I'm not opposed to any of it.
It seems, and anyone else's thoughts on this, certainly welcome, that the main point is the NFPA compliant lightning protection system, which would be the terminals for the roof, and the roof mounted equipment, down conductors, ground ring around the perimeter of the building. It seems as if more than anything else, that if we could move quickly or semi-quickly on getting the ground system that exists there at the plant at least looked at, to make sure that it obviously it's inadequate. It would need to be either improved or replaced. That would be a step in the right direction.
Okay. I mean, if you want, I can sit there and create an RFP specifically for that section of it if you want, or, I mean, there are a few companies out there that do specifically like that. There's actually a company called Invent, it begins with an N. Anyway, that's specifically what they do, is lightning protection systems and stuff like that. Actually, during this bid process for this design thing, they actually said they're like, yeah, we really like to install the equipment. He says, we probably won't put a bid for the report. He said, but whenever you go to do it, he said, let us know. He said, so, I mean, I can write an RFP. I can contact whatever companies you feel, or, I mean, it's one of those, however you would like to move forward and whatever legalities we have to go through.
Would it be worthwhile? Would it be worthwhile for us to ask Ross and Barazini to maybe prioritize some of what the recommendations are?
I would say absolutely not, because I had to get, how should I put it, primitive with this company just to get this report.
Okay.
So personally,
we're done with them.
We are done.
Okay. Kevin, Jim, your thoughts on trying to maybe take some action on this? We certainly don't want another year ago August happen to us with the lightning strike and the amount of damage that was done. Thoughts, ideas, suggestions? Anyone? Matt, Terry?
Is there any benefit to having Burns and McDonald look at it as part of their design scope?
That's come up.
You know what? I don't see personally, I don't see a problem with that.
They are one of the best engineering firms in the world.
You're correct.
I don't know why we wouldn't ask them to do it. They've got a division that can do that. And
well, in all reality, like I said, in this design report that's here, that's listed for surge protection already on the new one. So I don't see why not.
The idea of maybe sharing the R&B report with Burns and Mac and having them.
And if we can squeeze the lightning protection into our scope of work, we're going to have an electrician doing work anyway. Maybe that economizes,
That's
I don't know.
That's true.
Good point.
I'd have to say, yeah, I kind of like that idea in regards to doing that because, well, the perfect example is since they're planned on doing modifications to the old collector well for stairs and stuff like that, with the addition of just surge protection, I don't see it would be hardly anything. Yeah, considering the contractors would already be there.
We'll make a point when we do get a sit down with Dana and the group to share if you haven't shared the report with them already,
I will.
Would you get that to
Yeah.
to Dana and the group and say, hey, we'd like to see if there's some things that maybe we can throw under the blanket here
Sure.
that would, we can kind of catch the whole of the project and fix some of these things as well.
Yeah, we can do that. The only part that, if you're okay with it to move forward for the year, since I already got it down there, is just do the UPS portion of
Yeah.
it for the plan on our
Yeah,
own.
I know. Did you have a cost on that?
I put about $20,000 in it, and to be honest, I contacted one of the vendors and to get an idea of what that cost is of what we would need. So, like I said, it's already in the budget for that portion of it.
Obviously, that's something we're gonna need to get quotes on, some bids on. But if we can start the ball rolling on that, is everyone comfortable with that?
Yes,
Okay, very good. We'll get rolling on that. Anything else on the electrical audit then? Hearing none. The other thing under old business is the earthquake quote and the terrorism coverage. Tony Becker was able to come back, did find coverage through a select firm, $9,164. We did go ahead and sign that. If you recall, we did say that we would go ahead and proceed, but if anyone has any questions, but we do have that policy in effect now. That was just him trying to find a separate rider to put on the policy specific to those items. So everybody good there?
Yes.
All right. Under new business, staff report for the Lagoon pump replacement.
Yes. Sorry. We actually had a issue with one of our Lagoon pumps. Well, actually, both of them are probably bad, but I had one inspected by the pump shop, and they looked at it and everything else, and it's just wiser to fully replace the whole pump. It is one of the original pumps. We do have two of them. The other one isn't working either. So I don't know the extent of damage to it either. They're just really old and wore out, and they handle lagoon water. So, they eat up turtles and everything else in them. So I'm just saying. Yeah. Well, actually, we had to work on one a few years ago, and when we took it out, I stuck my hand up in it, and there was a turtle shell jammed in it. So yeah. But no, this one has failed. So the recommendation is to replace it for the existing costs. They are cheaper than Flynn Drilling here. So the pump shop for installation and all is way, way cheaper. This one is a Grundfos.
Never heard of that before.
Actually, they are the second largest pump company in the world.
Really? Is it a European model?
Possible.
Yeah, it's Flynn and pump shop both spec to Grundfos. So, I mean, it's apples to apples. It's just one's, considerably more, 14 grand more. So that's not a name I've heard. When we talk pumps around City Hall from time to time. And
yeah. But yeah, Grundfos is one of the largest pump companies in the world. You've got FlowServe and then, all that out there. So, but
if no one has any other questions, I know we do have a resolution to contract with the pump shop, which will be coming up here in a minute, but we do need a motion and a second and a roll call to accept the bid from the pump shop for $89.95.
So moved.
Motion and second, roll call, please.
Terry Thomas,
Yes.
Matt Undering, Greg Camp,
Aye.
Kevin Dennis,
Yes.
Jim Casson,
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next up, under new business, destruction of records, you have a report there from Michelle Vaughn pursuant to Missouri statutes, chapter 109, section 255. She of course follows the retention schedule recommended by the state in reference to all that. You'll see the items that were destructed, most of it from about 7-8 years ago. If you have any questions about that, otherwise, we'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the destruction of records.
So made.
A second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, let's move on. Item 8 on the agenda is resolutions. We have resolution 2021-29. Would anyone like to introduce that resolution at this time?
I'll make a motion to enter 2021-29 as to be read by title only, right? Is that the motion?
Correct. Would someone second that?
Second.
Very good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very good. Will the clerk please read the bill by title only?
Resolution of the Jefferson County Water Authority of Festus, Missouri, authorizing the chairman to enter into and execute a contract with the Missouri Machinery and Engineering Company, the Pump Shop, incorporating said agreement as a part of this resolution, prescribing the conditions thereto and establishing an effective date.
Any discussion? If not, we would take a motion to adopt
Motion to adopt.
Second.
and a second.
Second.
Okay, very good. Roll call on that, please.
Terry Thomas,
Aye.
Matt Unrein, Greg Camp,
Aye.
Kevin Dennis,
Yes.
Jim Caston,
Yes, ma'am.
Mark Johnson.
All right, next up is resolution 2021-30, the budget amendment. Would someone like to introduce that resolution?
I'll make a motion to introduce resolution number 2021-30 to be read by title only.
And a second? Okay, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. If the clerk would read the bill and I should say the title only of Bill 2021-30.
Resolution of Jefferson County Water Authority of Festus, Missouri, amending the 2020-2021 fiscal year budget and establishing an effective date.
Very good. Any discussion? And Michelle has joined us. If you have any questions related to the budget amendment.
No.
Michelle, did you have anything you wanted to share?
Unless you guys had any questions, basically, it was the capital outlay most likely that we made the changes to. There's a couple things that was carried over to this next fiscal year. And then we included the 35,000 for the grant for the fluoride system. Actually, that was for next year, sorry.
Okay.
I have no questions.
Would you like to make a motion to adopt?
I will make a motion to adopt resolution number 21-30 as presented.
I would second that. Could we have a roll call, please?
Terry Thomas,
Aye.
Matt Unrein, Greg Camp,
Aye.
Kevin Dennis,
Yes.
Jim Caston,
Yes, ma'am.
Mark Johnson.
All right, final resolution is 2021-31. Would someone like to make a motion to introduce?
I'll make a motion to introduce resolution number 2021-31 and to be read by title only.
Second?
Second.
Very good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, will the clerk please read Bill 2021-31?
A resolution of the Jefferson County Water Authority hereby adopts the budget for fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2021 and ending September 30th, 2022, and establishing an effective date.
Any discussion? And again, Michelle has joined us for any of your questions. Any highlights you want to go ahead and hit? Once you get your spectacles on?
My glasses on so I can see. At the last meeting, we had talked about the debt service coverage ratio, and we were getting with Mark Grimm with Gilmore and Bell, the bond counsel. And he did email me back, and he said that you have to comply with the terms of the 2012 direct loan agreement and the terms of the 2001 loan agreement, which is the new debt, per sections 5A 1.8 of 2012 loan agreement requires one-time times debt service calculation with respect to the note, the outstanding parity obligations and additional obligations. Then he went on to explain that the debt service is defined as the aggregate principal payments, whether at maturity or pursuant to seeking fund redemption requirements, interest payments and other payments for the period of time for which calculated. Therefore, you must take into account current debt service, not average debt service. And then he did say that the definition of revenues in the 2012 loan agreement does not appear to include surplus reserve cash. However, he does think that it would be possible to appropriate surplus funds to the payment of the portion of the debt and then to irrevocably deposit those funds with the trustee paying agent for payment of the debt service. That debt service then would not be taken into account in the calculation of the rate covenant. I want to check with our auditors or at year end to see if they agree with that. If that's the case, then the next fiscal year, we're showing that hike in the wholesale water rate. We would be able to use reserve funds, send that money directly off to UMB Bank, who is our trustee. And then when we do our year-end debt service calculation, we would back out that portion of debt service that was paid by reserve funds to keep our rates hopefully at the 480 or 490 next year. So that was good news, if we can get everybody to agree with it.
Michelle, is next year the year that we get the big jump, or is it the following year?
No, it's next year.
Okay, okay. I didn't know if you're out and maybe we would wait for that, but okay. I'm all for that. Let's do it.
Well, it would be something that would fall in next fiscal year.
Right.
Michelle's done a lot of work on this, and I think it gives us an option to smooth out that 1 year bump before the old debt is finally retired, and we're able to say that it's nothing but the new bonds moving forward. So it sounds like that would be the area we want to pursue once she gets the details on it. But it's not anything we need to take action with on this budget.
Right. Would that amount, I mean, do you have a dollar amount that you're thinking about, Michelle?
Well, it depends. It depends on this project. It depends on how much you take out of reserve, how much you want to take out of reserve. It really just depends until we get to that point to really look at it and evaluate it at that time.
And that would be,
The difference in the debt service payment for that 1 year from this upcoming year and then the following year is about $300,000 or $400,000 difference.
Let's see here.
I don't know if you have the schedule.
Yeah, I'm looking at the debt service.
Okay. If not, we can certainly circulate.
Okay,
it.
so yeah, it's about 300,000. So
So-
it goes from 1.7 million to over 2 million.
So we would be able to possibly escrow either the difference between the one payment or the
Yes,
or,
yes.
and then of course, once we get through that year, the nice part about it is the debt service drops off considerably. So we would be able to at least be able to get a hold on the wholesale water rate in that one spike year. And then, and basically kind of smooth the amount that the cities would have to pay on the wholesale water rate.
yeah. So I guess my question was going towards, I mean, if it's 300,000 or 400,000, 350, whatever it was that you were saying, we're not emptying the bank. So, you know, I didn't know if we were going to be 700,000-800,000, and then we'd be, you know, not leaving ourselves with any extra.
Well, you also have the depreciation replacement account that's really healthy. And so a lot of the replacement items, that's where that's coming from.
Okay,
Plus we have the reserve, which I think is going to be close to 800,000 or 900,000, I believe.
right.
And then there is some operating cash too, surplus there. So that would have to be looked at, but I think we could definitely cover it to keep it at the 480 or 490 next year.
Good.
Does anyone have any other questions on the budget?
Only one other thing that I need to, I sent out the email previously with the dollar increase
Oh,
on
yeah.
3 people. So where are you wanting me to go with that?
You're talking about where we talked about the ones that, if we raise the base pay, they're gonna get caught in that trick box. Well, now base pay is more than I'm making, and they might be not happy about that, so we're gonna raise them $1.
Right. So included in your, right, yeah, right there. There's 3 employees. There's 2 that started in 2017. And then there's 1 in 2020. He's currently at 15, so it would take him up to 16, because if you hire someone right now, he's been with JCAA since 9/8 of 20. So you'd have a new hire starting out at 15, and he would still only be at 15 plus the 3%. So definitely him. The other 2, I think, might need to be taken up as well, to be in line with maybe some of the other ones that have been here.
I don't have a problem with it. We did that with our employees when we just a couple of months ago raised our starting pay, and we had an employee, not in the same department, but started within the last 10 months. And so we raised that employee up to what we're going to start the others with. Problem with it.
I think it's very fair.
Yeah.
It'll keep employees otherwise, especially with the requirements that Jamie has on his staff, having all the different licensure.
Yeah.
Requirements.
And all 3 have their C license, correct?
No, the only one that has a C license is Nick.
Okay.
They got their,
Oh,
Oh,
they've got
would
the
get
D.
They would get the, okay, they have
They've
the
got the
D.
D.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got the D.
Okay.
Yeah, they've got
They
the,
would get a step also if they did get their C license.
right.
Okay.
Yes. And so there really wasn't any changes besides the grant, 35,000, not the budget amendment, but the budget. So the grant was put in there, and then Jamie, we tweaked a couple things, moving it from this year to the next fiscal year. And then he upped one item from,
Yeah, that was the
30.
actuators for the meter vaults. I upped it 10 grand.
so that's it.
Works for me.
That's a good budget, guys, really. And we're getting a lot done. I'll just throw as an aside and, you know, I know Kevin may have heard this. We've been doing a citizen satisfaction survey in Festus. And one of the questions that has come up on, one of the questions that was asked in a couple of different places dealt with water quality. And the feedback that we're getting related to the water quality. And the fact that we're already about a year down the pipe here on adding the second collector well and making the plant more self-reliant and not reliant on the cities to activate their wells, just is the direct answer to people having concerns about water quality. When we have to turn on those wells, at least here in Festus, those old lines, you know, they get their hackles up a little bit. Before you know it, you've got, it's not unsafe water, but it's certainly unsightly water. So I just throw that in there just as an aside. The fact that we're making obviously some improvements to the plant as we would during the course of any year, but to be able to add that second collector well and decrease the dependence on the city's ground wells is huge. And then just kind of a boldface underline is the fact that we're getting this response from the public right now that says water quality is important to them. And I'm pleased that we're able to say, yeah, we're on it. You know, it's not something
Right.
that we're starting now. It's something we started over a year ago. So
Well, that's kind of like some people, they've called the plant itself, and they ask about like our hardness. And our response is usually, you don't really need a water softener. Because as far as what comes out of our plant, we soften the water with lime anyway. Our water is not that hard. And the Langolier index that we run off of is you put a very, very thin coating of calcium, not enough to clog your hot water heater, but just a nice thin layer to where it coats the pipes. You don't have your leaching problems and everything else unless well 10 turns on, then it's all gone. But as far as that, otherwise, if everything was just in line and the plant gets to a point to where we do have the collector well, any of those other little issues would go away because we'll be able to maintain that thin coating for a period of time, and it should change things tremendously.
I think something we can think about once we begin the construction process is collectively between the two cities with the water authority is make sure that the public knows what's happening, that we've been listening. We know it's important to them. Whether it's a press release, whether it's some advertisements, whatever we need to do to put out there that we're ahead of the game here in trying to address water quality for the residents of both cities. So
I agree.
it's a little speechifying by me. Sorry about that.
No, like it.
Otherwise, if there's aren't any questions, I would entertain a motion to adopt the budget.
I make a motion to approve resolution number 2021-31 as presented. Budget.
A second from Matt. Can I have a roll call, please?
Terry Thomas,
Aye.
Matt Unrein, Greg Camp,
Aye.
Kevin Dennis,
Yes.
Jim Caston,
Yes, ma'am.
Mark Johnson.
All right, item 9, reports. If you have any questions, we'll get some answers for you. But the trial balance, general ledger, revenue and expenditure report there in your packets. Jamie's plant manager report, if you have any questions for him, or if you have anything as a director you would like to add, now's the time to do so.
I'm good.
All right, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Second.
there we go. Roll call, please.
Terry Thomas.
Aye.
Matt Unrein. Greg Camp,
Aye.
Kevin Dennis,
Yes.